I had read a bunch of books on how to apply to business school when I first started this, which is a very inefficient way to prepare for business school. But one of the first chapters I got to is how to prepare your recommender. So I used my current supervisor, who is he was extremely supportive. So I knew I was very lucky in that. Like I know not all of my peers can do the same thing. But I went to my current supervisor, and then I actually reached back to one of my first company commanders, like 6 years prior to that. And so I actually was a little concerned about that gap in the middle, but I had done so many different things in the gap in the middle. Nobody really knew me as well as that first company commander that I had. So he was actually able to give a lot of specific examples, and that was what was important, is specific. Everybody's recommender is going to say they're great, or they get all the work done, but for him to say, like, in this country at this time, Brian did this, and it made this impact, that really helped make a difference. I also met with each one of them. Obviously in Germany I couldn't meet with my first company commander because he was in Bahrain at the time. But I laid down a list. I took my resume and I put down a list of everything I had done while I worked for them to remind them of that. I also listed for Emory, like, what's important to them. I went through, like, their core principles and talked to the vets, because I did it the hard way. Like, what's Emory think is important by looking at the core principles and reading stuff? The vets will tell you what they find important and reach out to us and we'll help you with that. I listed out what I thought they thought was important. I then listed what I had done to demonstrate that, and then I brought those examples and I said, so Emory thinks this is important. Remember that one time I did X, Y, and Z for you? If you talk about this, that'd be great. And then I made sure that my entire admission story painted a picture and covered everything. So, like, my essays talked about this deployment and that deployment. My recommenders talked about my time when I was in Japan and Germany. And then during my interview, the stories that you're going to share, and we'll get to that later, your star stories, that talked about a different aspect. So don't have everything talk about this 2-year period that you did. Like, make sure everything's covered. And I used the recommenders to cover those periods that I felt I had done strong work in, but I also wasn't covering those in the essays. You don't want it to be reiterative, because they're going to sit there and read the whole thing. They don't want to read the same thing again and again.